Hello there and welcome again to Winston's Maths, and today we're looking at shape, and in particular we're looking at quadrilaterals, four-sided shapes. Quad means four, lateral means side, so it quite literally means four-sided, and we're going to be building quadrilaterals with marshmallows if you've got some. We're going to be painting quadrilaterals in the style of Paul Klee, and if you like games, then our challenging activity today is quadrilateral ships, which is quadrilateral battleships, and that's not easy to say. And then our mild activity today is quadrilateral bingo. So for fun and different levels of activity, fast forward to what you would like to do today and enjoy. Before you look at your activity, let's just remind ourselves what the properties of our six main quadrilaterals are. And to do that today, I've made a chart. So let's have a look at this chart together. So the word quadrilateral, well, quad means four and lateral means sides. So quite literally it means four sides. Shapes with four sides. I've made a chart here, and on my chart I've got a list along the top of all the different properties that a four-sided shape might have. And down this side I've got the six main quadrilaterals that we're learning about. So let's have a look at each quadrilateral and see what properties it has. Let's start with a rectangle. So let's have a look. Here's our rectangle. It has four sides. Yes, it does. No parallel lines. Well, if I look at my rectangle, a parallel line looks like train tracks. I can see one set of parallel lines, two sets of parallel lines. So I'm going to look along my properties for where it says two pairs of parallel lines. Tick. Opposite sides are equal. That means they're equal in length. With a rectangle, the opposite sides are equal in length, both pairs. Opposite angles are equal. I have to look at my diagonals to find my opposite angles, and every angle in a rectangle is a square angle or a right angle, 90 degrees. So my opposite angles are equal. All angles are 90 degrees. Yes, they are. All sides are equal. No, they're not all equal. There's a longer side and a shorter side. Adjacent means sides that are next to each other. Are they equal? No, they're not. So here we have our properties for a rectangle. So let's have a look at a square.
Well, let's see. A square has four sides. No parallel lines, one pair or two pairs. Well, I can see one pair there that are parallel and one pair there that are parallel. Two pairs of parallel lines. Opposite sides are equal. Yes, they are. They're the same length. Opposite angles are equal. Yes, they are. All angles are 90 degrees or square angles. Well, look, so far it's exactly the same as a rectangle. And in actual fact, it is a rectangle, but it's a special rectangle. That's why we call it a square. Because if we look at the next property, all sides are equal. Yes, they are. They're all the same length, which means that adjacent sides are equal too. Sides that are next to each other. So that's what makes it a square. But a square is just a special rectangle. Let's have a look at a parallelogram. Here we have a parallelogram. Let's look at its properties. It has four sides, yes. No parallel lines, one pair or two pairs. Well, I can see train track lines here and here. So a parallelogram has two pairs of parallel lines. Its opposite sides are equal length. They are, and they are. So yes, its opposite sides are equal. Its opposite angles are equal. Yes, if I look, these two angles are orange because they're the same, and these two angles are green. They're different to the orange, but they're the same as each other. Opposite angles are equal. all angles are 90 degrees. No, this is where it differs from a rectangle. The angles are not 90 degrees. All the sides are equal. No. Adjacent sides are equal. Well, this one looks like it might be, but that's not true of all parallelograms. So, here we have the properties of a parallelogram. It looks a little bit like a dizzy rectangle that's fallen over. That's how I remember it. So here we have a rhombus. And again, it's very similar to a parallelogram. Turn it over. Again, this time it looks like a dizzy square that's fallen over. But let's have a look at its properties. It has 4 sides. How many pairs of parallel lines? Well, I can see that these opposite lines are like train tracks, and these opposite lines are like train tracks. 2 parallel lines. Its opposite sides are equal. Well, like a square, all its sides are equal, so yes, that's true. And I can see that opposite angles are equal too. And have a look at that. It's got the same properties as a parallelogram. That's because it is a parallelogram, just like a square is a rectangle. But a rhombus is a very special parallelogram. It's got some other properties that a parallelogram doesn't have. All the angles are 90 degrees, no they're not, but all the sides are equal. Just like a dizzy square. That also means that its adjacent sides are equal too. So there we have it. Like a square, it's got equal sides, but in all other ways, it's the same as a parallelogram. There we have it, our dizzy falling over square. Here we can see just one pair of angles that are the same. Let's have a look at the other properties. It has 4 sides, and when it comes to parallel lines, there aren't any on a kite. They're all travelling in directions that are not the same as each other, so no parallel lines on a kite. Opposite sides are equal. No, they're different lengths. Opposite angles are equal. Well, not both sets, just one set, so I'm not going to tick that box. All angles are 90 degrees. No, none of them are. All sides are equal. No, they're not. But adjacent, neighbouring sides are equal. These 2 sides that are neighbours and these 2 sides that are neighbours are the same length, so I can tick that property there. See, it's quite different to the others. Finally, we have the trapezium. You might see this called a trapezoid sometimes, because in America they will call it a trapezoid, but it's the same thing, a trapezium. It has 4 sides. It has 1 pair of train track size lines, so I'm going to tick the 1 pair of parallel lines property here. Opposite sides are equal, not at all. Opposite angles are equal, no, not at all. All angles are 90 degrees, no. All sides are equal, no. Adjacent sides, neighbouring sides are equal, no. Looks like a wonky group sometimes.
So here we have it, our properties of quadrilaterals. And before you do any of our activities today, have a go at making one of these charts for yourself to really remind yourself of the different quadrilaterals and their properties. That way, when you do the activities, you'll be really confident that you know which quadrilateral is which. So for our first activity today, this is an activity that anybody can enjoy, and it's very free, so you can make of it what you will. Because what you need for this, love our sweets, are some mini marshmallows. So I'm going to use them today, not for eating, but for building. And I'm going to use them with some cocktail sticks. And what I'm going to do is to create as many of my quadrilaterals as I can remember. So I know, to begin with, that a square has 4 equal sides and 4 square or right angles. So I'm going to use my marshmallows to join my cocktail sticks together.
And very quickly, I can build myself a square. Remember, a square is a flat 2D shape. So it's going to be a flat 2D shape. Square, lovely. Now, I want a rhombus. Now, I know my rhombus is like a dizzy square, but it still has 4 equal sides. But this time, my angles, my opposite angles are equal, but not all of my angles are right angles. So I'm going to start with a square. I'm going to shove it over. There's my square. Ooh, there's my rhombus. Okay. Rhombus, square. Lovely. This time, I'm going to make a rectangle. Now, I don't want all of my sides to be equal, so I'm going to take a pair of scissors and make 2 of my sides shorter, but they must be the same length. So here I've got 2 shorter sides and 2 longer sides. Perfect.
4 right angles, and I've got a rectangle. I'm going to make my parallelogram in the same way, but shove it over at the end like I did with the rhombus. There's a rectangle. Boop. There's a parallelogram. Let's try a kite with adjacent sides equal. And finally, to complete my quadrilaterals, I want my trapezium. I need different length sides, but I do want to make sure that one pair of sides are parallel. So I need to cut my last stick to make sure that my two sides are parallel. Otherwise it's not a trapezium. So I have made all 6 of my quadrilaterals, but I don't want to stop there because this is too much fun. So now I'm going to make whatever 2D shapes or 3D shapes I can think of. Now, one of my favourite 3D shapes is the tetrahedron, the triangular pyramid. So I'm going to have a go at making a solid 3D tetrahedron out of sticks and marshmallows. Let's start with a triangle. Oh yes, my beautiful tetrahedron. Now the world's my oyster. I'm going to try a cuboid. I'm going to try a triangular prism. I'm going to try a hexagon. I'm on a roll. So if you want to make a word cloud with all your quadrilaterals and shapes hidden in the words, then you need to visit wordart.com, and we'll put a link down below. And when you visit wordart.com, you'll see a big green button that says Create Now. So press the button. Then it will say input your words, and you'll see down the side here I've input all the different shapes that I've made, and I can choose the size that I want that word to be. So you can see from my list my favourite word was trapezium, so I've made that a size 5. Then I really like the word tetrahedron, so that's a size 4. Rhombus is size 3, kite size 3, and so on down the list. I wouldn't worry too much about the other columns at this stage. But the next label down is shapes. So click on shapes for a bit more fun. And here you get given all the different shapes that your word can be put into. So just have fun and enjoy putting your word into different shapes. Then, when you've chosen your shape, click on fonts so that you can choose the font you want. And this screen will appear, and you can see all the different options down the side there. I chose bangers because that looked fun. Then click on layout, and this screen will appear. And then you can decide whether you want your words to be horizontal, vertical, horizontal and vertical, or just random like mine. Then finally, style, and you get to choose your different colour groups. So play around with that and see what you can create with word art. Have fun. So for our medium challenge, we're taking our inspiration from another fabulous artist today as we look at the work of Paul Klee, and we're looking at his painting today, The Castle and the Sun. And you can see from this wonderful painting it's full of shape, particularly rectangles, squares, triangles, semicircles, even the circular sun. But today we're going to take it one step further because we're going to use it to hide our quadrilaterals. So let's remind ourselves what the features of our 6 main quadrilaterals are, and then we're going to hide them in a castle and a sun. So our first step from the picture of the castle in the sun, I can see that the castle has lots of tall towers. And so I'm going to use that picture to help me draw towers on some square paper, and it really helps if you've got square paper to do your activity on that.
Some of my towers or columns will be thinner than others so that it really looks like Paul Klee. And once I've got a page that's filled with towers, my next job is to put in my quadrilaterals. So let's go through them then. A rectangle. Well, I know what a rectangle looks like. I can sneak a rectangle in quite easily with its two pairs of parallel sides, long sides and short sides. And I'm going to label my rectangle because I'm going to need to see that later on. I'm going to put a square in. So this time I just need to make sure that all my sides are equal. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So these have to be 5 squares as well. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I've drawn myself a square. Square. Next is a parallelogram with 2 pairs of parallel sides. Now, there are long sides and shorter sides with this, so I'm going to make sure I've got 1 pair of parallel sides here. I need another pair of parallel sides. So I just need to make sure, it doesn't have to be the same length, but I need to make sure that the other line I draw is parallel. That's why I'm using the other side of my ruler to help me keep those lines parallel as possible anyway. So we've got a parallelogram. I always remember that the L's in parallelogram are parallel. Parallelogram. Then we're going to do a rhombus. Now a rhombus is like a square in that all 4 sides are the same, but it's also got different angles. Its opposite angles are the same, but they're not right angles. So I'm going to squeeze a rhombus over here, but this time I need to make sure that I measure the additional line that I'm drawing, because I'm going to do the same length on every side. So I'm going to tip my ruler here until my line reaches a nice round number. So I can either make it 5 centimetres or 4 centimetres, but that's nearly a right angle, so I'm going to go for 5 centimetres there, a nice diagonal line, and then I need to make sure that every other line is 5 centimetres too. So I'm going to mark 5 centimetres on that line and mark with my ruler 5 centimetres on this line, and if I join them up that should be parallel. And there, yep, they're parallel, every line is equal, I've got a rhombus. Next is a kite. So for my kite, I'm going to squeeze that into this space here, because I can see that the middle line is halfway between the lines at the side, and that will help me to create equal lengths on either side and equal angles on either side. Remember, adjacent lines of a kite are equal. That means lines that are next to each other. So this one and this one are equal. And I've squeezed in a kite there. And then finally, we've got a trapezium, which is easy because you just need 1 pair of parallel lines. So I'm going to use these parallel lines here. In fact, just so I'm really sure, I'm going to pop another line in. And I don't need to worry about keeping these lines equal or parallel, as long as I've got these 2 parallel. And I've created a trapezium. Then, what I need to do is look at Paul Klee and fill the rest of my castle with Paul Klee shapes. So I'm going to stop using a ruler now, because this is art, and I'm going to start to fill my shape with triangles, rectangles and squares. And a nice big sun. You might want to draw around something if you want that to be really accurate. So let's have...
And once you've finished, like Paul Klee, we're going to paint it in, well, he uses mainly warm colours like browns, oranges, reds, yellows and russets. Even the greens are warm, yellowy greens. But then he jumps out with these blue colours in just a few places. So I'm going to try and create that in my painting, and a lovely dark brown sky. If you've got a brush that goes to a pointed tip, it's really helpful for painting the lines that are needed for a picture like this. And I tend to like to mix my paints, watercolours, in the palette a little bit. So I'm just going to mix them up to create some lovely warm colours and then start to fill in. Can you see how this brush, because it's got a pointed end there, goes right into the corners really beautifully. But it just so happens that I actually did one of these earlier. So I'm going to move on to that one now that I've painted. You can see I finished painting it in this way with warm colours, and so I'm just going to take a black pen now and go around the edges here to make my shapes and my sun and colours really pop out. And all that remains for me to do is to mark in my secret quadrilaterals. Can you spot where some of them are? Square, parallelogram, trapezium, rhombus and a rectangle. And last but not least, a kite. So have a go at making a secret quadrilateral Paul Klee castle and the sun of your own, and send me your pictures. Enjoy. So if you want the easy activity for quadrilaterals this week, and perhaps you just want to revise and embed and remember those properties of quadrilaterals, then have one of these charts close by. And this week you can visit the website You've Got This Math, which I've linked down below, and on there you will find quadrilateral bingo, and you get 5 bingo sheets and some bingo cards, 2 sheets of bingo cards. I've not put them on card, I've just got them on paper, but I am going to cut them out, so I'm going to do that now. Once we've got all the cards cut out, we make a neat pile of cards, and there are 5 bingo boards to choose from, so we choose a board each. So pick a board, Ted.
I picked number 3.
Okay, and I'll have the top one. And you might notice that on these boards not every shape is a quadrilateral. Some have more or less than 4 sides, so don't be confused. Then, with our chart close by to help us, we're going to take a card each and cross out some shapes, and when we get 4 in a row in any direction we shout bingo. So are you ready, Teddy?
Can have 2 obtuse angles. What's an obtuse angle? An angle that's bigger than a right angle, that's smaller than a right angle. Yeah, so it's bigger than a right angle. And 2 acute angles? They are angles that are smaller than 90 degrees. So we're looking for a shape with 2 that are larger than 90 and 2 that are smaller. I have got one here, and when you find it, you can cross it out. That's my one there. That's my one there. And that's Teddy's one too. He's got a kite, and I look like I've got a rhombus. Okay, your turn. You pick the next card. Okay. Not a quadrilateral. Not a quadrilateral. I've got a shape here with 6 sides. It's a hexagon, not a regular hexagon. I'm going to cross that out. Okay. Has 4 right angles. Has 1 pair of parallel lines.
Means equal. Opposite sides. Opposite sides.
Bingo!
Oh, put it there! So have fun with bingo this week. So for our more challenging activity today, we're going to play quadrilateral battleships, or quadrilateral ships, as we affectionately called them. So to do that, we're going to use a 4-quadrant grid. Now it has to be a bit challenging, so we're using our negative numbers here, and I'm going to draw my grid 5 by 5, so it's not too big. So here we go.
I need my axes in the middle of the page, and I'm going to label my x-axis so I know that one comes first and my y-axis comes second. 0 comes in the centre, and in the first quadrant we have our positive numbers. So I'm labelling the lines, not the gaps between them, just up to 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then on the remainder of the line, my negative numbers on the lines, not the gaps between them. Negative 3, negative 4, negative 5. 1, negative 2, negative 3, negative 4, negative 5. And just so that I don't plot any quadrilateral ships outside of my grid, I'm going to draw a line around the edge here so I know that this is my playing field, if you like. Otherwise there's a danger my ships will go off the page. There we go. I can see what I'm playing with.
Now, I'm going to plot 5 of my 6 quadrilaterals. It's very, very difficult to draw a rhombus on squared paper. So we're going to plot a kite, a rectangle, a square, a parallelogram and a trapezium. And to help me when I'm plotting, I've just done a little grid at the top, a little tick list. So we've drawn our 2 grids each, one for ourselves and one to record our opponent's guesses. So we don't get confused, we've given ourselves 2 colours. Ted is playing green and I'm playing red. So on my grids, I've labelled myself, Mum, red and green, Ted. And now on my opponent's sheet, because that's where he's guessing, I'm going to hide my 5 quadrilateral ships. And when I've drawn them in, I'm going to tick my tick box at the top. So I'm going to hide my opponent's sheet so that I can't see what he's doing. He can't see what I'm doing. Let the battle commence. So now we're ready to play. Our quadrilateral ships are in place and we're ready to play. So Ted, who's green, is going to go first. And if he hits the vertex, the vertices of my quadrilaterals, then he gets a tick and a hit. If he hits any other point on my grid, he gets a cross or a miss. And once he's hit all 4 vertices of the quadrilateral ship, then it's hit, sunk and destroyed. So go.
Okay, can I go for 2, 3? Remember, it's 2 across first on the x-axis and 3 up. So, miss. Can I please have -3, -2? Hit. Oh, my parallelogram. Wow, I'm going to put a little p so I know I'm going for a parallelogram. And you're sure that's -3 on the x-axis first? Mm-hmm. Okay. May I please go for -4, -3? Hit, oh no, sorry, miss. Can I please go for 0, -2? 0, -2, that is a miss. May I please go for -3, -4? Miss. May I please go for -5, -3? -5.
-5.
Miss. And may I go for 2, -4?
Hit something.
Wow. That was really close and we got really lucky, but thank you for a good game. So this is a great game if you're confident with your quadrilaterals and you're confident with your grid references, because if you go a little bit wrong you can make a bit of a hash of it. I'll be honest with you, we did this several times over before we got it working, but once we did, it was a really good game. So if you're up for it, have a go and enjoy. So whether you choose to play quadrilateral ships or bingo, or you choose to get your paints out and hide those quadrilaterals, or you choose to actually build them and make a word art, word model of them, then enjoy what you're doing and don't forget to send me all your lovely things.